Hello, people. Welcome to Pass the Parsley. I'm your host, Tyler Felix, and I'm getting this podcast out a little late. I'm going to be completely real. I thought that Bellator was on Saturday. I didn't realize that fucking Bellator was on Friday. So it's kind of going on as I'm recording this, so it doesn't really make too much sense for me to really break it down. The podcast on Monday, I will talk more about what happened. And I don't have bets because FanDuel, for this card, they literally had 2 lines. That's it. Which is like that's nothing. So I can't really give you bets this week, but we could talk about this card quickly. We have the return of Patricio Pitbull, who I personally think could be one of the best featherweights on earth. I mean, this guy is insane. I mean, he is champ, right? Knocked out Michael Chandler in a weight class that he's not even natural to, right? Like, this guy is an utter fucking beast, and I feel like he doesn't get his props, right? I mean, Tapology has him ranked number 21. The 21st best featherweight on earth, they think, is Patricio. Which is like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what? He's easily top 5, if not top 3, right? But for some reason, the guys in Bellator don't really get the right props, right? It's like, I feel like people diss them because they're in Bellator, where it's like, your skills, it doesn't equate to what league you're in, right? I mean, if you're a good fighter, you're a good fighter, right? And Patricio is a great fucking fighter. So I don't understand why this dude does like not get his props. But anyways, I'll move past Bellator because the shit's happening right now. So by the time that I get this podcast out, and for your lovely ears, this shit will already be done. So I'll just move on here to OneFC, people. We have the debut of OneFC on TNT, which is great because it'll really get the US audience involved, which I feel like that was their massive problem, is that it's centered so heavily around Asia that I feel like people in America don't even realize that this is a league, and that they have some of the best flyweights and some of the best bantamweights. Like, their smaller weight classes are really, really good. These guys are killers, right? And you have not Dave like you, but Demetrius Johnson is about to fight for a belt for the first time in one, which is kind of crazy that it's taken this long, right? Because Demetrius Johnson is one of the greatest fighters ever in the history of combat sports, right? I mean, this man defended his belt, I think it was 10 times or 12 times or something insane. He was champion for like 6 years. I mean, DJ is an utter fucking beast. And the last time he lost was Cejudo, which that fight was bullshit. He didn't lose that, right? That was terrible scoring. I don't think Cejudo won that. So his one loss at flyweight was kind of like a bullshit loss. And I mean, Tapology has him ranked 22. Like, what the fuck are these rankings, man? Like, you have Demetrius Johnson ranked 22 when he's one of the greatest fighters ever. That is insane. But anyways, he's about to fight for the belt first time. Demetrius has struggled a little bit. I mean, he's won every fight, but you can definitely tell that him not cutting weight and him being forced to move up, I think that the size advantage is definitely apparent in the people that he faces, right? Because DJ is a very, very small fucking guy. It's very small. So a lot of these bantamweights, like he's about to fight Adriano. I just said his last name. Yeah, it doesn't matter. But the featherweight champion, the bantamweight champion, sorry, of ONE, and this guy is 5'8", which for bantamweight is pretty tall because DJ, off the top of my head, I think he's 5'4", right? Let's see here, 5'3". Holy shit, he's even smaller than fucking what I thought, right? So 5'3" versus 5'8", that's a massive size difference. So I feel like the reason why Demetrius is kind of struggling a little bit is because he needs to fight outside of his proper weight class. Because, I mean, DJ is a flyweight through and through, which you saw that because in the fucking UFC, right, at bantamweight, he was a really good fighter, but he wasn't reaching his full potential because he wasn't fighting guys that are his size. And then once that flyweight class was a thing and he was fighting guys that were his size, he ran through everybody. He destroyed everybody in that entire weight class, to the point that it got so not oversaturated, but the opposite, right? Where there was nobody, that he kind of ran through that entire weight class to where it almost dried up, that they were just going to cut it. That's how, like, this man was beating everybody so bad that they just fucking traded him. They didn't even want him in the fucking UFC because I feel like he was causing a lot of problems because he wanted to get paid. And this man, his pay-per-view buys were very, very low, right? A lot of the average fight fans either didn't know him or didn't really care, or I'm not sure exactly what it was, but DJ just couldn't bring in those buys. And if you're asking for that pay raise, you need to have statistical proof to back up that fucking case. Like, you can't just be like, oh, I don't sell any pay-per-views, but you need to pay me. Because that, like, you're just never going to get paid. But if you could prove that, like, I mean, DJ is literally one of the least profitable champions in UFC history, which I'm not entirely sure why that is, but for some reason, I mean, nobody would buy this fucking man's fights, which I would, but but I'm like a hardcore fan that I watch every single one. So, and I feel like it was only the hardcores that were really watching him. So, but anyways, I feel like this is really boring, people. I mean, I'm like 10 minutes in here, and I just want to restart this shit because I feel like this is fucking terrible. But it doesn't matter because I have like 5 viewers, and when I say 5, I mean 5 viewers. So all 5 of you, I fucking love you. But I know that this is dog shit, people. I realize that. I realize this is boring. I realize I'm not as good as I want to. My stutter is kind of a pain in the fucking ass. But, I'm just trying to get better here, right? Like, I'm not trying to blow up. I'm not trying to, get a bunch of views. I'm not trying to do any of that. Like, my main goal with this podcast is just to get better at talking, just get better at podcasting. And I gotta say, this episode has been real dog shit. So mission failed. Definitely don't feel like I got better with this show. But anyways, the Jon Jones news, like, we can talk about that because the last podcast I kind of brushed on it quickly, but it seemed like it was kind of like it seemed like they were planning on working out a deal, and Jon was going to get an offer, and then Hunter called him, and I assume that what he offered him was $8 to $10 million, because Jones said that 8 to 10 is too low, which it's like weird, because Jon Jones, on paper, he deserves that money. Like, I'm sure that he wants like 15 million. Like if I had to guess, that's probably what he's asking for, is 15 million. I have no sources on like that shit. That's not in the news or anything like that, but I would have to guess that that's around the price that he wants, which someone of Jon Jones's caliber deserves that, right? But I don't think Jones was. I mean, this man, not even a year ago, was drunk driving and shooting a gun out of a parked car. This man was fucking chugging vodka, parked his car, started shooting a gun out the fucking window. This dumbass stays parked. A fucking cop pulls up, and then he fucking pulls all this shit. Oh, I'm just so anxious, guys. I just have anxiety. Oh, fucking cry me a river, guy. Cry me a river. Like, this dude has fucked up so many times, and he's cost the UFC a lot of money. They've had to cancel shows. They had to strip him like so many times. This man has failed more tests than anybody in the fucking UFC, right? This fucking man has been stripped more than any champion, right? And yet he just wants to act like everything's cool now. He got nothing. Like, he drunk driving, shooting a gun out of a parked car, nothing happened. Got a slap on the fucking wrist, and the UFC did nothing, right? And then Jon just like wants to act like that shit didn't happen, right? Because if all that shit didn't happen, right? If he didn't fuck up a million goddamn times, if he didn't get stripped 3 times, if he didn't fail drug test after drug test, and like he wants to act like, oh, it's the fuck is it called, pulsing, right? Where it's like, oh, I have stuff that's built, which, like, it's okay, like, fine for that one thing. But this man has failed for 3 different types of steroids. 3 different types of steroids. Okay? Then on top of that, he failed for coke, too, which they shouldn't have even tested him, and that's not against the rules to like, do that, but this man failed for coke, too. So it's like he keeps on talking about pulsing, and it's just like, okay, that's for that one thing. You failed for 3 different steroids, guy. 3 different ones. Then on top of that, like, this just blows my fucking mind, because for pulsing to be a thing, you have to take so much steroids that it literally embeds itself in your fat cells and in your muscles, so that when you exert energy, right, it gets released into your blood, and then you could fail for that steroid, even though you have not taken it for a while. But that does not happen from taking tainted creatine 1 time, which is what this motherfucker's saying. Like, you need to have a lot of it built up in your fucking system from prolonged steroid use. And, like, this man is a fucking cheater. Like, it just blows my fucking mind that, okay, so, like, what, we're just supposed to look past this? And then in the fucking cage, too, I mean, this man is one of the dirtiest fighters ever. I mean, he pokes everybody in the fucking eye. Every time they fight, you get poked in the fucking eye, right? Like, just his style, the way that he holds his hand out, he holds his fucking fingers out, which is illegal. You cannot do that, right? So that if you come in, you're literally going to run right into his fingers, and he's going to poke you in the fucking eye. That's some dirty ass shit that isn't legal. But yet, he pushes it and pushes it and pushes it and pushes it. And you could see a significant fall off Once USADA came in, this man fell off a fucking cliff. And the Jones that we've seen in the past 4 years, it was nothing compared to the old Jones, right? Jones has looked like shit. I mean, relatively, like compared to his old self, right? I mean, he still won. He still found a way to like win, which is just a testament to his fight IQ and his mental toughness, right? Like, but if you look at him physically, he is not as fast now. He's not as strong now. There seems to be something missing. And I think what's missing is him abusing steroids. I mean, the evidence is fucking there. This man has failed for steroids, 3 different types of fucking steroids. I think he's failed either 3 or 4 times. I'm not exactly sure. But he's failed for 3 different types of steroids. And every time he cried, oh, it's a tainted supplement. It's like, are you kidding me? Like, it's just so upsetting that this is our GOAT. Like, Jon Jones is a straight up fucking scumbag. And this is our GOAT. Which, I mean, he's so good. Jones is so good that I wish he wasn't this person. Like, it's very upsetting that this is our GOAT. This man who hits girls with his parked car and then fucking runs off. He does coke. He cheats on his fucking wife. Like, he fucking smacks strippers. Like, I mean, like, fucking Jon Jones is an utter piece of shit. So him asking for all of this extra money, like, and then the fucking UFC is supposed to forget that they had to cancel 2 pay-per-views because of Jones. 2, not 1, but 2. They had to cancel the first show in history because of Jon Jones. Because he wouldn't fight Chael Sonnen on a week's notice. A man who he later fucking ran through and destroyed. So, if you think that Dana White doesn't have that in the back of his head, be like, this guy is the least reliable fighter in UFC history, and yet we're supposed to pay him all this fucking money? Yeah, no, I'm fucking good, bro. We're gonna pay you 10 fucking million, and that's it. And that if you don't want it, then don't fucking take it, and then don't fight. Like, I feel like that's the point that, like, they're at. Where everyone that's defending Jones is just like, oh yeah, I mean, he's never lost. He's like a big draw. This is one of the biggest fights ever, so he deserves to be paid. And yes, with that line of thinking, he does. But once you throw in everything that this motherfucker has done, he doesn't. He doesn't deserve this fucking payday. I mean, 10 million would make him the second highest paid fighter in UFC history, behind Conor. So, I just like, Jon Jones is so delusional. He's just in his own fucking world that he's just acting like he's holier than fucking thou. And that this man 11 months back wasn't fucking chugging vodka and shooting his gun out of the window of his car. I mean, come on. And then what? I as the fucking UFC am supposed to pay you $15 million and then put all this faith in this promotion, in this fight, and hope and pray that you don't do some dumbass shit. That you don't go and drink and drive and smash your fucking car, where this guy is drunk fucking driven and crashed into a pole, fucking almost damn near killed himself, right? Doesn't learn, comes back drunk driving again, smashes into a pregnant woman, leaves the scene, runs off. Then drunk driving a third time. This motherfucker shoots a gun out of a parked car and then sits there. Like, doesn't even drive off. Like, come on, dude. This fucking guy is a goddamn mess. And it just blows my fucking mind. And it just blows my mind, too, that all of these pundits that are talking about Jones that no one is bringing that up, right? That it's like, dude, this is the least reliable champion in fucking UFC history. And if I'm Dana, it's like Francis is the next big thing, right? If Francis keeps on winning, he may be the biggest star in UFC history, man. Definitely. He is on that path. So the UFC doesn't need Jones. The UFC doesn't need Jones to fight Francis, right? Like, they don't. Like, Jones needs the fucking UFC, and he's acting like he has all this fucking leverage, and it's like, no, you don't. You have zero leverage. You already gained that fucking weight, so you need to fight at heavyweight because you already gained weight. You have no title because you gave it up, right? Then on top of that, Francis can fight Derek Lewis. Excuse me. Which would be a great fight, which I love how a lot of people say that, oh, yeah, that's such a huge fight, that the first fight was the most boring fight. And it's like, come on. Like, are you seriously going to use that? It's like Derek Lewis was hurt. He went into that fight hurt. Like, this man could barely fucking stand up, right? Then on top of that, Francis was so mentally beaten from Stipe that he didn't want to take any risks. And Derek Lewis and Francis are completely different fighters now. And there's a 0% chance that fight will go the same exact way. Right? Like, 0% chance. Like, that's not going to fucking happen. So it's like all of these people that bring that up, that it's like, oh, the fucking Derek Lewis fight sucks, so like the Jones fight is better, which I think that the Jones fight is better, but it's like, no, it just rubs me like the wrong fucking way. It's like, I mean, really, I would not even care if Jon Jones never fought again in his fucking life. I mean, I don't dislike a ton of people, but I don't like Jones, man. I mean, has done nothing but hurt the image of this sport. He has done nothing but be the opposite of what an upstanding champion should fucking be. And if he wasn't so goddamn good, and if he wasn't so fucking dominant, he would have been cut a long time ago. Like, they wouldn't deal with this motherfucker. He would be cut and he would be gone. But Jon Jones is one of the greatest, if not the greatest fighter, which I don't like giving him that tag because he doesn't deserve it. So it's fucking GSP. Like, if you ask me, it's GSP, because Jon Jones is a little cucklord, dude. And he doesn't deserve, I mean, how many times can a man fuck up? And then it's like, oh, it's fine, John. Yeah, it's fine, buddy. It's like, how many times? And if I'm Dana, I'm just like, bro, this guy's fucked me so many times. I'm not going to fucking pay you. Fuck you. That if you want the fucking fight, you can fight him for 10 million. If you don't want that, then sit on the fucking sidelines. I could care less, which I know for certain that is Dana's mindset now. I know for certain. I mean, I have been watching Dana White for a long, long time now, so I feel like I know how this man thinks. And if Jon Jones wants to get paid, he's going about this in the worst way fucking possible. And Dana is a very stubborn man. And if you rub him the wrong way, I mean, yeah. I feel like they definitely want this fight, right? I mean, fucking Dana has said it, that he wants this fight, but he knew from the get-go that Jon Jones was going to price himself out. And asking for what I assume is 15 million Because if he says that 10 million is way too low, that is the phrasing, way too low, then I assume that he's not asking for 12 million. He's probably asking for 15 million or 17 million. Which Jones in his last fight, I think he made like 7.5. So he's asking for double. And I know that fucking Dana doesn't want to fucking pay him that. Like, at all. Which they shouldn't. They shouldn't. I mean, if I was Dana here, I like would just be like, no, like 10 fucking million. That is a good payday if like you want to act like it's not fine. But 10 fucking million or go fuck your mother. Which that's the mode that like actually Dana's in, which like a lot of people want to paint this as like, I don't understand how all of these people like defend Jones still. Like, so many people like defend Jones. And it's just like, what? Like, come on, people. Like, this is one of the dirtiest fighters in UFC history. This man has failed more drug tests than anybody else. This man has been stripped more times than any fighter in UFC history. He has had pay-per-views canceled. I mean, come on. It's like, yeah, no. It's like, I don't blame them at all. And Dana White knew this shit from the bat, that he was going to ask for some outrageous money, and Dana is not going to pay him that. Because at the end of the day, Jones has a contract that he signed. And in that contract, all the UFC has to like do to abide by that contract is offer him a fight. They do not have to up his fucking pay or anything like that. Jon Jones has a contract, and the UFC is obligated to offer him fights with that contracted amount. So Jones has zero leverage here. Not an ounce of fucking leverage. And he just wants to act like he has all of the fucking leverage. Where it's like, bro, fuck you. Like, fuck Jones, man. I mean, come on. Like, I feel like I've just been going on a 20-minute rant, but it's just, this shit is just so frustrating, man. Like, I just wish he would just stop fighting and just disappear from the fucking sport, dude. Like, such a black eye. So, like, I mean, this man last year was shooting a gun. I know I said that 5 times, but nothing came from that. Nothing came from that. So why would this time be any different? If he comes back and then beats Francis, right, and then he's the fucking champion, how long will he really have that belt for before he does some stupid ass shit and crashes his car into a strip club or some shit, and then they have to strip him, or he fails like a fucking drug test and then they have to strip him, or he doesn't want to fight people and then they have to strip it. Like, it's just like, if I'm the UFC here, I'm just like, this fight makes sense financially, but in every other sense it doesn't, especially if he's going to ask for this outrageous money. Because a huge thing is, people, that you can't just pay a like guy 15 million and then the next fight go back to fucking 7 million, right? Like, that's not going to happen, which that's also a big part of this too. And whatever they pay Jones, they're going to have to pay Francis too. So, and I feel like they don't want to pay him that much because of that. Like, I know I've just been going in a circle here and just repeating the same shit, but I mean, Jones clearly is delusional, man. Like, this guy puts on his like nice boy fucking Christian act, which is fucking, dude, it's like, you can see right through it, man. I mean, he just acts like, oh, you know, I'm just a good old Christian, and guys, I want this fight, but, I'm just not making money, and I'm just asking for more money, and they're being so mean as they're not paying me, and I'm just such a good, loving Christian, and it's like, bro, go fuck yourself. You're a piece of shit. Like, you cheat on your fucking wife, which is the ultimate thing of just, like, fucking scumbag, right? And, like, I mean, yeah, it's just fucking like, Jesus Christ, Jones. Like, you're a fucking scumbag. Like, it was actually nice when Jones was owning that. There was, like, a little year gap where he was, like, owning that shit. Where he was being actually real and not this fake fucking bullshit. Where he was, like, wearing, like, dark fucking shades and just, like, talking a bunch of shit and just not being that nice guy, because Jon Jones isn't that. Like, Jon Jones is the opposite of that. Jon Jones is a fucking scumbag. So it's like, I mean, but granted, I mean, this guy's, I've never fought, so this guy has accomplished way more than like me, but it's just upsetting that as a fight fan of all people, this man is the fucking GOAT. I mean, like why can't we have a guy like DC or like some shit, man? Like, of course. But anyways, I mean, this is just turned into hate on Jones fucking podcast, but it's just crazy. Like, this shit has been just blowing my fucking mind, man. And how there's a lot of people who don't really know much about this sport, so they're just like, oh yeah, Jones should get paid here. And it's like, and I agree with that if you look at what he's done, if you look at his record, who he's fought, his name, a big payday is rightful. But you have to take everything else into account with this. Like, we can't just act like this fucking man is like a perfect person, and that if you pay him this, that he's not just gonna go and fuck up somehow. Like, he always finds a way to fuck up. This man is a career fuck up. He always finds a way to fuck up. Whether it's drunk driving or steroids or fucking whatever. He smacked a stripper or some shit. Like, I forgot what that story was, but just so many things. So many things, man. And it's crazy. Oh yeah, and then what I didn't even bring up is that this is the same man who USADA came in for a drug test, and he hid under the fucking octagon at Jackson's and stood there for multiple hours. This man was hiding underneath a cage for multiple hours. And then he comes out and he says, oh, yeah, that is true, but that's because before class I smoked a fat blunt, so I was really worried that I would fail for it. It's like, bro, that is complete bullshit, because that marijuana is not tested for out of competition. And the reason I know that he knows that, because of coke. This man knows what is illegal, because he failed for coke out of competition, which isn't illegal. The same thing with fucking weed. So if he did just smoke that fucking blunt, it would not have mattered at all. And what liars do is that they admit to something and then just tweak it, right? So that it fits their lie. So once there's this piece of evidence, this piece of truth, they're just like, oh yeah, that's true, but it's because of this. And it's, dude, I just don't even want to go there, but it's like, yeah, dude, I mean, this guy was clearly on fucking steroids. He's clearly a fucking cheater. I mean, you could just see him physically drop off a cliff, right? And then the one fight he looked really good was against DC, and guess what happened? Failed for fucking steroids. So it's like, Like, come on, man. This has just been 25 minutes of Jones hate because there's there's not a ton of fights. Well, no, there actually is. There's 2 fights this week, but I mean, OneFC, I could talk more about Sunday, and Bellator, I'm not really gonna talk about because it's happening like right now, so it's almost pointless. But anyways, I'm gonna get off this Jones shit. I know that no one's fucking listening, but I'll move on and I'll find a way to like wrap this up so it's not just like the Jones hate, because I mean, if you can't tell, I'm not a big fan of Jon Jones. Old Johnny Bones, which I was. I mean, like, I hate to like keep on doing this, but like, I used to love Jones. But it's like being a fight fan since I was, I've literally watched every fight since I was a little boy. So I saw Jones since his UFC debut, and every single fight that he's had, right? I saw his run where it was him and Bader, right? And they were like the 2 young guns, and like who was gonna really rise up. And then they fought, and then it was like, oh, it's Jones. Jones is the next thing. And then he gets a shot, and he fights Shogun. I think it was like 3 weeks later. Beats up Bader, then fights Shogun 3 weeks later, destroys him, and becomes one of the youngest. He may actually be the youngest champion. I'm not entirely sure, but definitely one of the youngest champions in UFC history. I mean, like, this man is just so good, and it's just so upsetting the amount of times that this man is fucked up. It is crazy, and then we're just supposed to act like, oh, no, it's fun. Oh, it's fun. Because that's what Jones thinks. Jones just thinks, gives a shit about all that stuff. Like, the past is the fucking past. But it's like, I'll say it for the 10th time, but it's like 11 months ago, you were drunk driving, shooting a gun out of your car, you fucking idiot. But anyways, on to the next thing. OneFC, that fight is Wednesday, which I thought that they were doing it live so that, that I think in the US it's going to be on at 8 p.m., if I'm not mistaken. And it'll be the first show on TNT, which is pretty cool. Oh, no, it'll be on at 10 p.m. But it's tape delay. It's like, are you kidding? Tape delay for fighting? That fucking doesn't work, bro. So they're still having the fight at 7:30 a.m. Which I get it, because in Asia that is 7:30 there. So I get it, right? Because they're Asia based. They market towards Asia. All of their best fighters are Asian, pretty much. So I get it. But at the same time, it's like, if you want to break into the fucking US market, dude, tape delay is not the way, buddy boy. Tape delay is not the fucking way. So if you want to watch that card live, it's you have to get up at 7:30. So in the morning, it's at 7:30. You'll have to stream it on any legal site because of tape delay. Excuse me. So you don't want to deal with that. Go on to Crackstream or fucking Ripple or some shit like that. Anyways, people, I have been rambling. This has been a terrible podcast. I just literally have been just ranting angrily just about Jones for the last fucking goddamn half hour. So, anyways, back on Jones, dude. I'm joking. Okay, I got it off my fucking chest. I'm not really gonna talk about it more from here on out, and I will really like to see how this plays out, because I know how Dana is, and he's not going to like pay Jones, and like the only way that he is if the fucking if his bosses come in, right? Like the guys from the fuck is it called? Endeavor, right? So if they come in and they're just like, Dana, like you like need to pay Jones, and like we like need to make this fight happen, then Dana will do it. But if it doesn't come down to that, and it's only up to Dana, Jon Jones is never getting that fucking payday. I can guarantee you that. If it's up to fucking Dana, if he could, would pay him less than what he's fucking paying him now, dude. I feel like Dana at this point fucking hates Jones, which is why him and Jones don't talk. Like fucking Dana and like Jones don't talk. Like they work out fights through other people, because Dana hates him and Jones hates fucking Dana, but they both love money. So the end of the day, it all comes down to that. I said I wasn't going to talk about Jones more, and then I've just been talking about him, but that's just a nice button on the top there. I mean, it doesn't really matter, people. There's fucking nobody listening, especially to this point. All of my viewers, they just fucking listen for like 3 minutes and then just hop off. So, anyways, I've been rambling. I didn't honestly know what I was gonna talk about, and then I just talked about Jones for fucking goddamn a half an hour. So this has been a terrible podcast, people. I am your dog shit host, Tyler Felix, and this has been Pass the Parsley. I love you all, and I will have a new podcast on Monday. I said Sunday, but that's because I had a brain fart, and I record them on Sunday, and I release them on Monday. So I will have that podcast on Monday, and I'll talk more about OneFC and also Bellator, and then hopefully I'll have picks, because FanDuel fucking had nothing. Like, they had nothing, so they really don't give a fuck about Bellator or like OneFC or anything like that, so they don't really put bets towards it. So hopefully next week that's different, but we shall see. Anyways, I love you all, and I shall see you Monday.